What if I told you your sleep schedule might be completely wrong? That 8 hours of straight sleep being ideal is a modern myth, because for thousands of years, our ancestors did not sleep like we do now. They slept in shifts, and for good reason. Not just because they were worried about wildlife predators or that they were watching for a shift in the weather, but because of something much deeper, something embedded in human design. Pay attention to find out more and get your dose of bean-sent knowledge. So here's the deal. Modern humans think 8 hours straight is the gold standard for sleep. But for most of human history, that would have sounded insane. Human history across the entire world actually shows that people always slept in phases. In some parts of the world, that was 2 sessions of sleep, the 8 hours cut in half to 4. In other parts, it was even multiple short naps in the day, never more than a few hours long. One long straight session was never found to be practiced, at least not until recently. And so we have the real villain of the sleep story, industrialization. When factories needed round-the-clock productivity, society basically went, hey, what if we ignore human biology and build schedules around machines? Enter electric lights, 12-hour shifts, and the idea that sleeping once per night is mature and normal. Spoiler, it's not. Today we've got clinical studies backing up what our ancestors were doing. Research from the National Institute of Health found that when people live without artificial lighting, they default back to these ancient 2-phase patterns within weeks. Melatonin kicks in earlier, stress hormones drop at night, and sleep becomes deeper. Other studies on multiple segments of sleep, like the Uberman or Everyman schedules, show promise for alertness and focus, but only in controlled settings with rigorous discipline. It's not for everyone, but it is a frontier. But research isn't always convincing. I mean, you weren't there, right? So let's give it a try. Tonight, turn off your screens. No blue light, no caffeine after noon. Set a timer to wake up after 4 hours. But don't start a doom scroll when you do. Sit with your thoughts. Journal. Maybe read a few pages of a book. Let your brain stretch just a little bit. Then go back down for that second round. The results might surprise you. Drop a natural sleep in the comments if you're down to test this. And come back to tell us what it did for your focus, your mood, or your weirdest midnight thoughts. Make sure to subscribe so it's easy to come back and give us your feedback. For now, let's see what these phases of sleep were for. Let's zoom in on the 1700s and cover all the time before it, because historian Roger Eckersh is firmly on the side of sleeping straight for that long is like pretending you're dead. Eckersh's work, based on over 15 years of digging through leftover diaries of people long gone, court records, medical manuals, and even classic literature, supports what we've learned so far. For essentially all of human history, people did not sleep in one long stretch. Before electricity, before the 9 to 5, and way before melatonin gummies, humans actually slept in 2 shifts. It's called biphasic sleep, and it's not just some caveman quirk. Anthropologists studying pre-industrial societies like the Hadza in Tanzania or the Tsimane in Bolivia found the same results. That people naturally fall into a pattern of first sleep, a wakeful rest period, and then second sleep. That middle of the night break, it wasn't insomnia or a bathroom break after one too many ales at the local inn. It was a natural response, and people used it productively to round out their day with personal activities. They would meditate on how to hustle out of peasant life, or stargaze while humming the local bard's favorite hymn. Some might journal either their daily experience or the dream they'd awoken from. Others would pray to hit their private time with the big parent above, or get on their knees anyway for romantic reasons. Medieval texts even recommend this second sleep phase as ideal baby-making time. One 16th century medical manual even advised that the time between sleep was ideal specifically for conceiving children. Apparently the body is just more relaxed and the mind is clearer. Some journal entries even describe that the best conversations of the day happen between midnight and 2 a.m., just like today. And this wasn't some quirky practice of a few night owls in medieval France. This was normal, common, documented all across Europe. Eckersh's research found over 500 references to this pattern scattered across historical documents. Take the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer. There's an offhand mention of characters waking after first to sleep. Or 17th century Dr. Robert Burton. who casually recommended regularly using the time between sleeps for meditation or quiet thought. But it doesn't stop there. In some cultures, like certain Mediterranean and East Asian ones, people even practice polyphasic sleep, napping multiple times across the day and night. Siesta culture is not laziness like Western culture would tell you it is, it's biology. They'd nap after meals to rest and digest. They would rest and nap during the hottest parts of the day, since work is not reasonably productive at that time anyway. They'd also steal short bursts of sleep around natural cues for taking a break, like firelight or rainfall. And it's not at all chaotic despite the appearances, it's strategic. The human body actually has ultradian rhythms. These are cycles shorter than the circadian's 24 hours. They usually last around 90 to 120 minutes, and this is where your brain naturally rises and falls in alertness. You ever hit that early afternoon crash for no reason? That's your body waving a flag telling you it's nap o'clock. But before you cancel your 8 hours of dreaming and download a spreadsheet for nap tracking, just remember, this was not done for hustle culture. It was done at the time for survival. Polyphasic sleep wasn't about productivity hacks. It was about staying alive when lions, lightning, or livestock could wake you up at any time. Just imagine a village before electricity, before alarm clocks, before TikTok gave everyone trust issues about their own sleep cycles. You and your neighbors share everything: food, chores, safety, even parenting. So naturally, sleep became communal too. While some people napped, others kept watch. While one group prepped food, another snuck in some dream cycles. And this was beyond survival at the time too. There were emotional and cognitive benefits too. Polyphasic sleep is found to increase REM density. You know that phase of sleep where your brain throws a disco party, calls it dreaming? With multiple shorter sleep cycles, your body sneaks in more REM bursts, meaning better memory processing, better emotional regulation, and way wilder dreams. People who practice polyphasic sleep today often report higher dream recall, as if the brain remembers its place mid-story and picks it up again during the next nap. Some historians even argue that dream interpretation, a major part of ancient cultures, depend on this rhythm. If you're dreaming 5 times a day, that's 5 times the material for prophecy, poetry, or just gossip over the village stew. Even creativity flourished under polyphasic sleep. Artists, monks, and scholars, especially in the Middle Ages, often claimed their most vivid ideas came during their segmented sleep breaks. That weird half-awake, half-dreaming state, turns out it's a goldmine for abstract thinking and problem solving. Modern science has shown, though, that its benefits do extend to working in daily life today and not just harsh survival conditions or personal growth. In studies on sleep restriction and shift workers, polyphasic schedules, like the aforementioned Uberman or Everyman schedules, show surprising resilience. Some participants maintained cognitive performance with just 2 to 4 hours of core sleep plus short naps in the day, though that took weeks of brutal adaptation, so let's be clear again, it's not for amateurs. Another big difference as to why sleep phases worked well for our ancestors was the lack of artificial light around them. Plenty of research has shown that exposure to blue light, which is the wavelength coming from your phones or screens or lights around us, is deeply disruptive to your sleep cycle and affects how deeply you can fall asleep. So what happens if you take a bunch of modern humans, remove every screen, every buzzing phone, every light bulb, and just put them in total darkness? Well, in the 1990s, psychiatrist Thomas Ver tried exactly that. In one of the most famous sleep studies ever, Ver placed participants in a dark room for 14 hours every night for several weeks. No televisions, no neon lights, just themselves and the dark. At first, they slept more than usual. But after a few nights, something unexpected happened, at least at the time. They started sleeping in 2 distinct blocks. A first sleep, then a waking period followed by a second sleep, just like the medieval journals described. This made it clear that it wasn't a fluke. As ambient light vanished, their bodies defaulted to segmented sleep, as if we were wired to do this all along. But how did that happen? The answer is melatonin. That's the hormone your brain produces to tell you it's bedtime. In tech-heavy environments, we're drowning in blue light, which suppresses melatonin production and delays the natural sleep onset. But in total darkness, melatonin follows the original biological rhythm. Now here's something you might not have expected. During that in-between waking period, melatonin doesn't drop. it plateaus. This creates a deeply relaxed but alert state, almost like meditation. People have described it as peaceful, reflective, even spiritual. Some researchers now believe that this twilight zone may have been critical for mental health in pre-industrial life. Meanwhile, modern artificial lighting has scrambled our circadian rhythms. Bright evenings and chaotic schedules push sleep later, flatten melatonin production, and make monophasic sleep feel like a forced shutdown rather than a natural process. As great as this sounds, I suspect I have an idea of what you're probably thinking. There's no way I can bring this back for myself. My job won't wait while I take a dreamy 90-minute nap at 3 a.m. My apartment building isn't candlelit, and my kids? They don't care about historical circadian rhythms. But here's the good news. You don't need to go full Benedictine monk to get some of the benefits. Biphasic sleep can absolutely work within a modern schedule. One of the simplest formats? Sleep from 9:30 p.m. to 2 a.m., wake gently, do something non-stimulating like reading, meditation, whatever, just for half an hour or 1 hour. Then return to sleep from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. Even 20 to 40 minutes of calm wakefulness can create a rhythm that mimics historical sleep without wrecking your workday. Polyphasic sleep might be a little tougher, but it's still very much doable if you only inject one session. Especially for shift workers or freelancers, a core sleep period of 5 to 6 hours plus a 20 to 90 minute nap during the day can dramatically improve alertness and mood. That's not a fantasy or a theory, it's actually how many cultures still sleep today, from Spain's siesta model to some rural Asian communities. You don't have to do it every day. Even 2 to 3 nights per week of a segmented sleep trial can help regulate melatonin, increase your dream recall, and reintroduce that quiet, middle-of-the-night peace that modern life has crowded out. The key is intention. Create a tech-free window. No phone, no scrolling. Let your brain ease into rest or return to it with something analog. Of course, you're trading simplicity of your schedule for involvement. You have to be much more deliberate with your daily activities and pre-bedtime patterns. But in return, the benefits are huge. So now we've learned that ancient people weren't lacking things to do, they were just optimized for the world they lived in. And while we tried to optimize for the world we live in now, maybe your insomnia isn't a problem. Maybe it's your biology begging for something older. Try it this weekend, let yourself wake naturally, and don't rush back to bed. Sit in the dark with yourself for a while. You might notice that your thoughts are a lot more insightful than ever before. Thanks for reaching the end of the video. Now go forth and put your new knowledge to good use. We'll catch you for your next cup of coffee.